it wasn't so much that now was the right time. It was just that we'd finally got our acts together. It just happened to be when we made the film. You know, we didn't make it. We weren't all ready to go and thought, well, let's wait a few years. We were just like, well, when we were ready to do it, we'll just do it. And we, you know, all these circumstances have to be right before you do it. And obviously, if we thought it was going to be not very good, then it's better not to do it at all. So that was that preys on your mind. And you know, you talk a lot about it, and you meet and have chats, and then you have to roll your sleeves up at some point. And I suppose the deciding factor, the tipping point, if you like, came when Rob and Neil Gibbons came onto the scene, because they were the I'd lost one of my most precious writers to America, and Pete Bainham. Who did certainly, you know, contributed to the script on this film, but I really, you know, the writing was done by Robert Neil Gibbons, and when I sort of I say discovered them, when I found that they were that they were able to write not only for Partridge but actually elevate the character, make it better. That's when I thought, okay, now we're in a position where we can go forward with the film. Yeah. Well, through various sort of trial and error ideas that we throw up and talk about, and it was the development of another idea. We thought, you know, you have this idea of a siege and Die Hard and make it all that, and then you realise it's too silly, and then you said, well, let's make it smaller. And you look at other films. We looked at Dog Day Afternoon, which is sort of one of my favourites, and I love the fact that there's something conventionally not an original idea, a siege or a bank robbery that goes wrong, and we just thought the idea of a siege was quite interesting, especially on a small scale. The idea of it being slightly amateurish. It's not sexy. It's not sexy action. It's just sort of, it's desperate and real, somehow slightly real, and that made us that I thought had an appeal, because it would look like a sort of homespun bit of action, rather than us trying to make it Hollywoodish, or, you know, you can't compete in a world of what's it called, Pacific Rim and all these things. And really, and you know, thank goodness, because we don't have the money to make that kind of film, and it wouldn't be right anyway. And what we have to do is go the opposite way and sort of rejoice and celebrate the sort of smallness of it, and that's why we kept it in Norwich and just made it a disgruntled DJ takes everyone hostage with a shotgun in a radio station. It's all a bit sort of pathetic, really. Yeah. Well, it was good because it had the semblance of being an action film, but of course he's not using a high velocity, you know, a hunting rifle. He's using an air rifle stolen from a shooting gallery on a pier. So that's a way of having your cake and eat it. But it was great shooting it, because it was sort of, you know, it's fun, you know, pretending to do those scenes, and, you know, firing an air rifle at Coleman, and also there's sort of another scene, a fantasy scene, where he has sort of grapples with a gun, and you know, I have an action scene that's very Die Hard, but that turns out not to be real. It turns out to be an Allen fantasy. So that's a way of having your cake and eat it, because you can say, well, we do have action, but it didn't really happen. It was good because it helped anchor it and give it an identity and make it look fresh, because it's not often used as a location. So it gives an otherness to the film, which helps it have a look and a feel that makes it different, hopefully, from other films. And you know, then, you know, Cromer and the pier at Cromer and the East Coast becomes like another character in the film. It's very different because you're not, because your priority in writing a comedy is very simple and clear. It's to try and be funny, and all the other things that you need for that are very important. But there's a bottom line. The bottom line is people have to laugh, and they have to laugh, you know, so, you know, a couple of times on every page. You know, for it to be working, you've got to have that. And in some ways that's hard, but it's also quite a simple task in a way, because there's a simplicity to the task, although it's difficult. you can be very focused. I was doing a drama I wrote with Jeff Pope. I did this drama that Stephen Frears directed. That was a sort of two-hander drama about two characters played Dame Judi Dench and me, where it's about their relationship. And that was about certain issues. We had to explore issues, and there's certain responsibilities because it's loosely based on a true story. So you have to serve the elements of truth, and you have to satisfy the arc and have a certain redemptive element to it, and I hope it uplifts people because it's quite a tragic story. So all those challenges are quite complex and nuanced, and much more challenging. In some ways, but then you don't have you don't have the brutal judgment of something not being funny. But in actual fact, although I found it much more satisfying because it was a more complex journey to go on. And we did use comedy even in the drama, but that's much more interesting when you can use comedy to support dramatic elements. Is more satisfying as a tool than an end in itself.